up, it's Steve from that old Yorkshire geek, and it's list time again. This time it's a personal list. It's not a list I've found on the internet that I can, have an opinion about. It's my own personal list. We've done, in the past, we've done my top 10 favourite Star Trek episodes. Now we're doing my top 10 favourite Stargate episodes, and I've lots of seasons to choose from, haven't I? I started off with a big list. I went through and had a big list. I've whittled it down to 10. I've managed to get 10 from each of the live action series, SG-1, Stargate Atlantis and Stargate Universe. I've not included the movies, Stargate, Ark of Truth, Continuum. I've not included them. I've not included Infinity either. Or Stargate Origins. It's just the mainline series. That's what I've done. Picked me 10 favourite episodes from there. So here we go. So this is my 10 favourite, not necessarily the best 10. Some of you probably think, why has he picked that? It's just my favourite episodes. The ones I tend to, gravitate towards. And in honour of it, I've got my Stargate t-shirt on. There we go. But before we start, don't forget to like and subscribe, share the videos, drop a comment, hit the notification bell if you're subscribed already. This will be appearing in my members only for about a week, and then it'll go public. Same on my Patreon. So there we go. So if you want to see it first, become a member or join my Patreon. Also, super thanks. That's what I'm trying to say. Throw a super thanks my way. Right, so begin. As I said, my favourite ones, not necessarily the best, but going in descending order, starting at number 10. Right, so we shall begin. First up is from Stargate Universe. The only time Stargate Universe appears in this list, because a lot of people don't like Stargate Universe, but I really like this episode. It's from the first season, episode 8. It's called Time. And I really like this episode. I think it's a cool sci-fi concept episode. What happens? It begins. We're seeing our core of heroes from the Destiny, the starship Destiny. They're on a planet. It's raining. It's kind of a jungle planet, and essentially, everybody dies. And then it cuts to all the footage is like it's like a found footage film. Actually, it is a found footage film. They use what they call kinos, these balls that the ancients made that float about, and they're like drones basically, and video everything. And it cuts. Everybody dies, and then it cuts to them watching the footage on the Destiny, and they're like, "What the?" Because he does that, and then it cuts to the opening titles. And so what we're seeing is, obviously, something's happened. The Kino, whatever, has gone back in time, because we see the Stargate glitching. So there's been a solar flare. So they've got to work out how to avoid this death. There's these creatures like insects or bugs that go in. It's quite gruesome in places, all bursting out of you like chest bursters, but stuff like that. So there's blood and guts in it, and they've got to figure out how to avoid this timeline. But also, they discover that they've picked up a disease from some water that they got off a comet or an asteroid or somewhere. There was a virus in this water, and they've got to work out a way to cure that, which has something to do with these deadly creatures. But anyway, it's a cool episode that ends kind of ambiguously. But we know everybody's fine, because it's only episode 8, and we know they carry on. So it's fine. Spoilers. It's all fine in the end, but it's a cool episode. Really like it. So that's number 10. Stargate Universe Time. Number 9. Right. For number 9 and number 8, they're both Rodney McKay based episodes from Stargate Atlantis. So anyway, the first one is Stargate Atlantis, The Shrine. This always sets me off crying. Season 5, episode 6 of Stargate Atlantis. Rodney, something happens to him. It's some sort of degenerative disease, and he basically loses his faculties, like a dementia sort of thing. And as he's getting worse and worse, they get his sister from Earth, who's played by his real sister, David, what's his face's real sister, David Hewlett, his real sister. So she comes from Earth, and it's really, really heartbreaking. It is seeing him, this genius who's quite abrasive as well, and not really a nice person, but he's a good guy. Just descend and become, lose his faculties. It's a lot like seeing, it's like seeing, your loved ones succumb to dementia. We've all seen it, I suppose. Or a lot of us have seen it. I saw it with my mum. So this vibrant person in the last year or so of her life, she just stopped being this amazing, vibrant woman that she'd been all her life for 80 years. She just became, just somebody for me to look after in the last months of her life. Anyway, don't set me off, I'll start crying again. So anyway, they've got to work out how to cure him, and they don't think there is a cure. But Ronan says there's a place that's on a planet that's occupied by the Wraith, which is the shrine of the title, where there's something there, and it turns out I think it's like something from the ancients, I think. But they go there, and it cures him for a while he's there, but when if he comes out again, he goes back to how he was. But obviously they find a way to suss it out, and he's alright at the end. But up until then, it's a heartbreaking episode. It's really, really good, and it shows how good an actor David Hewlett is. Next one up, that's number 9, Stargate Atlantis, The Shrine. Number 8, another Stargate Atlantis, as I said, 2 Rodney-based episodes. Tower of Rodney, and again, something happens to Rodney. And this kind of gets me going as well a bit, not as much as The Shrine. Rodney essentially becomes superpowered. They find a machine in Atlantis, and it blasts him with energy, and he becomes super advanced, and is heading towards ascension. That's what they're hoping. It's a bit like the TNG episode, Star Trek Next Generation episode, the Nth Degree, when Barclay becomes super brainy and starts doing all this amazing stuff. It's kind of like that, but with Rodney. And let's say he gets these powers. He can read minds, he can use telekinesis and all that, he can cure people. And but it's going to kill him eventually, and he's like, oh god, if he doesn't ascend, it'll kill him. And it builds up to a crescendo and a finale, a climax, and essentially Rodney dies, but in his last breath he whispers to Dr. What's his face? I tell you, I'm rubbish. I've forgotten all the names. I tell you, I love this series. You know how much I love this. You know how much I love Stargate. I'll show you pictures. There. But I can never remember names, particularly the Doctor. I can never remember it. Carson Beckett. Right. He tells Carson Beckett how to cure him in his last breath. So he's running about. He's told me how to cure him, and they cure Rodney, and he's back to normal. And it ends where he's like, I can't remember any of this stuff, because he'd written all these formulas and stuff, super advanced, to do all these amazing things, and I can't figure it out. And so we're back to normal. So there we go. So that's Stargate Atlantis, the Tower of Rodney. Right, we're going to Stargate SG-1 now. Number 7 in the list. This one's Beachhead from Season 9, Episode 6. This is an Ori episode. A prior. The Ori are ascended beings from another galaxy that are bad guys. They're not the ancients who are the good guy ascended beings. A bit like Q. But these are bad Q. They've got agents called priors that they send through the Stargate to tell people on planets accept origin, which is their Bible, or basically die. And these are super powered as well, of the priors. Anyway, one arrives on a planet run by the Jafar. And they say, accept origin, accept the Ori as your gods, or you will be destroyed. And they said, no, we've just got rid of one lot of false gods which they had, because the Jafar used to serve the Goa'uld, who pretended to be gods, and they just defeated them. So we're not doing it again. So basically they kills everybody on that planet, and it creates a shield around the Stargate, and the Stargate remains active. Stargates are supposed to automatically shut down after 38 minutes, but this one somehow stays active, and the force field around it keeps growing. So obviously, the Jafar sends ships to investigate, and Stargate Command sends the Prometheus, their starship, to investigate, and with SG-1. And I think this is the first episode from season 9 where the band is back together, apart from O'Neill. What happened in season 9 and 10? Colonel O'Neill went off he went to the Pentagon or something, he got a promotion, he's General O'Neill. And General Landry took over, and Lieutenant Colonel Cameron Mitchell took over SG-1, and they were supposed to put together a new team, but he wanted to work with Sam Carter and Teal'c and Daniel Jackson. And all through the season, the first part of the season, he's wanting to get them all back together, but they're all off doing their own things. And this is the first episode where he gets them all back together again. So he says, the band's back together. And we've got Vala Maldoran as well. She's being the comedy relief, but it's all amusing. Anyway, so what happens in Beachhead? They're going to blow up the Stargate. They beam down, because they've got beaming technology. It's more like Stargate, Star Trek at this point. And they've got a massive, a gate buster nuclear device that will blow it. It'll just vaporise the gate. And they said to the Prior, go away or we'll blow you up. He ignores them. So they blow him up, and it doesn't work. In fact, it makes the shield is created, the bubble just expand even faster. The Stargate remains open, even though it's on its side. The Prior's being vaporised. But then things start coming through the Stargate. And to make a long story short, a big supergate is built in orbit of this planet, so they're going to start an invasion through a supergate with ships. So they've got Vala. It becomes the hero, the heroine of the story, where she takes a cloaked. She rings aboard a ship that's observing them, and a cloaked cargo ship, and takes that into the Stargate. That before all the segments. I'm describing this badly, before all the segments come together, and basically it makes it blow up, because the planet shrinks down, becomes a singularity, and there's a big eruption of energy, and because it's not being completed, instead of it forming a Stargate, a connection to the Ori galaxy, it just blows up. But Vala seemingly is being killed in the explosion. She didn't get out in time. But then later we learn she did, and somehow she ended up in the Ori galaxy. Anyway, so there we go. So that's Beachhead. A really good, exciting episode, and also funny with Vala. Her and Daniel Jackson, a great comedy team. Right, moving back to Stargate Atlantis for number 6. This is the Daedalus variations, or is it Daedalus? I've always pronounced it Daedalus, but I've heard people say Daedalus variations. This is a good fun episode. The what they call it, is it a BC 304 or X3? I don't know what they call it. The Daedalus, the starship of Stargate Command, appears over Stargate Atlantis, not Stargate Atlantis, over the Atlantis base. And there's no life signs, and they contact Earth, and they say, no, the Daedalus is here. Well, it's in our galaxy, it's on the way to Earth. We know it is, we've just been in touch with them. So this is another Daedalus. So they go up in a puddle jumper, which is little spaceships they've got, and there's nobody on board, no life signs. They see another puddle jumper in the hangar, and then they find themselves dead. The main team, John Shepherd, Ronan, Rodney, and is Taylor with them? Yes, she is, and Taylor. And they find themselves dead, and then obviously Rodney works out this is obviously from another universe, and it does some scans or whatever. It says yes, the signatures is from the exact same as when they met another version of Rodney who were from another universe in another episode. So they'd been doing an experiment, travelling between universes, and it had gone awry, and everybody died. They'd abandoned ship, actually. Anyway, so basically what happens is the Daedalus is this machine keeps building up its charge, and then it flings them into another universe, and adventures ensue. They end up in a universe where the suns are red giants, end up in a universe where they're being attacked by these bad guys who are ace. I mean, I don't think we ever found out their names, but they're a bit like the Borg. Anyway, but everything works out fine. That's a cool episode anyway, Daedalus Variations, a lot of fun. We're sticking with Stargate Atlantis. This one's a 3-parter. I'm counting it as one episode. It's The Siege. It's from... it's the finale of Season 1 and the opening episode of Season 3. So we've got Season 1 episodes 19 and 20 and Season 2 episode 1, The Siege, where the Atlantis base is under siege from 3 Wraith hive ships. The Wraith are the bad guys in the Pegasus galaxy where Atlantis is. And 3 hive ships, which is their big ships, are on the way with support cruisers as well, and basically going to destroy Atlantis, and they've got to find a way to stop them. Or they're going to blow up Atlantis. They're going to evacuate to another planet in the Pegasus galaxy. Because at this point they've no way to contact Earth. They're basically stuck. They're by themselves in the Pegasus galaxy. Whatchamacallit? So they're going to blow up, if they can't destroy these ships. They found a big, like a satellite or a weapons platform that's on the outer edge of the solar system that Atlantis is in. That were built by the ancients. By the way, if you don't know, Atlantis is a city built by the ancients thousands of years ago. And now humans from Earth have, commandeered it. Anyway, they found this weapons platform built thousands of years ago that's got a super duper beam weapon on it, and they get that working, and they take out one of the hive ships, but something goes wrong. It doesn't recharge, and the other 2 hive ships open fire, destroy the weapons platform, taking poor one of the British people from the Atlantis expedition, killing him. But anyway, as luck would have it, just as they're about to, they're going to blow up the base, they think they've no chance, they're going to evacuate, they start dialing out, but as they're dialing out, an incoming wormhole appears and support from Earth arrives in the form of Colonel... I forgot his bloody name now. Only watched it yesterday. Everett, is it? Colonel Everett. Yes, I think it is. Who's this gruff commanding officer. So he arrives with some soldiers and equipment and a zero. I'm doing that as though you know what it is. A 0-point module, or ZPM, or ZPM if you're Rodney or me, which is a power source that is super duper ace, created by the ancients. So with that, they can power the city's shield, which will defend them from any attack. But little do they know, or they know shortly, that there's already Wraith inside Atlantis, so they've got to fight Wraith that are already inside, and then the Wraith attack happens, and all this stuff, and it's super exciting, it's really good, and but obviously, by the way, they've got to hold off the attack from the Wraith until the 0-point module arrives on the Daedalus, which is on its way. So they've got to hold out. That's where the siege part comes in. They eventually do get it, and they raise the shields and everything. So, and it's cool. It's really good. And then the season ends on a cliffhanger. You think John Shepherd, who is the O'Neill of Stargate Atlantis, you think he's sacrificed himself, but obviously he hasn't, and everything's okay. And the siege is a really good 3-parter that keeps you gripped from beginning to end. Right. Moving on to SG1. What are we on now? 1, 2, 3, 4. Number 4. This is the episode called 200, and it's the 200th episode of Stargate SG1, Season 10, Episode 6. It's the comedy special episode. It's really funny. I really like it. I love this episode. Where basically the Stargate's broken, and they say, how can something that's worked perfectly for 10 years suddenly not work? Which is a joke on the series, because it got cancelled after 10 seasons. They knew it had been cancelled. And so they're stuck in Stargate Command, but Martin Lloyd is there, who's an alien that got stuck on Earth. Now he's become a movie producer, and he created the series Wormhole Extreme, which is a riff on what's happening on Stargate. And they allow it to be used for plausible deniability. So anyway, he's doing a movie, a Wormhole Extreme movie, so they're going through scripts and ideas, and it's showing us these ideas on the screen in a comedic way, and it's really good. One of my favourite episodes, obviously, and it's really good. We see the Furlings, who are this mysterious race that we never see, but we don't really see them. it's just pretend. And there's even a puppet segment as well, like Team America, which is really funny as well. But anyway, so there we go. Number 3, SG-1 again. The Other Guys, Season 6, Episode 8. Another comedic episode. The Other Guys refers to scientists, SG-1, O'Neill and Carter and Teal'c, and Jonas Quinn. Because in Season 6, Daniel Jackson's dead, in quotes. So it's Jonas Quinn. Justice for Jonas. Anyway, they get captured by the Goa'uld and the 2 scientists, whose name I've forgotten, obviously. But one of them's played by John Billingsley from Star Trek Enterprise. They're going on the rescue, to rescue them. Stand easy, we're here to rescue you. This one guy. I'll put his name. I'm hopeless with names, I am. I should have had all this prepared. Anyway, but I didn't because I'm useless. They go to rescue them, but they find out that they were supposed to be captured because they were there to meet with a Tok'ra, who are good guy, Goa'uld. But obviously everything goes wrong. But the other guys, the idiots that they're supposed to be, end up saving the day. So, and it's a cool episode. And it's really funny, and we see him again. Whatever his name is. Put it there. In another episode called Avenger, and he's good. I wish he'd been in more, and I wish John Billingsley had been in it more. But anyway, right. So number 2, we're nearly at the top of the charts, pop pickers. At number 2, this is the very first episode of Stargate SG-1. In fact, actually, I've included 3 episodes. I've included Children of the Gods, which is the movie, and it's the pilot episode, but it's often referred to as 2-part. The first 2 episodes, and then Enemy Within, which follows on exactly, straight after. So I've counted them, so it's another 3-parter essentially, even though Children of the Gods were a movie. It was even released theatrically in some countries, and I know in South Africa it did, because I saw a man on the internet once referring to Stargate 2. So that was Children of the Gods. So anyway, and I think Children of the Gods is a better film than the original Stargate film. I honestly do, even though the effects are not quite as good as in the original Stargate movie, but it didn't have as much money thrown at it, did it? Anyway, so it's the pilot episode, Children of the Gods, where it's set a year after the original Stargate movie. O'Neill is called back into service because somebody came through the Stargate. The Stargate, by the way, program, essentially were mothballs. It were never used. It had a big tarpaulin over it, or a parachute or whatever, just to cover it up. And a Goa'uld comes through, and with his Jafar, although they don't know what they're called at this point, because they only know about Ra and his Horus guards and all that stuff. Anyway, this one comes through. They think it's Ra at first, and because his eyes glow, and they takes one of the soldiers that's guarding the Stargate. It just happens to be a woman. It kidnaps her, takes her, and so they think it must have come from the planet that's in the Kalium galaxy, but they don't mention that here. In this one, it's learned that they don't go to on the other side of the universe, as the movie version said. They're actually quite close. I think they said something like 19 light years. I'm sure it said that. It's quite close to Earth, is Abydos, and that's where we learn it's called Abydos, after the place in Egypt. So they go there, find Daniel Jackson, who's had a head transplant from James Spader to Michael Shanks. Oh, Jack O'Neill's had a head transplant from Kurt Russell to Richard Dean Anderson. But they go there, and he says, they said somebody attacked Earth and said, well, it didn't come from here, because they think there's only one Stargate, or two, one on Abydos and one on Earth. I think that's it. It's just connecting them two places. And that's when we learn there's loads of them all over the galaxy. And it's cool, it's really exciting, and there's big battles and all stuff like that, and then it's where we learn that they're going to form teams. It's going to be initially 9 teams, ends up being a lot more than that. And Jack O'Neill's team is going to be called SG-1, which is the name of the series, and so they're going to go and try and rescue this woman that had been kidnapped, and also Daniel Jackson's wife, Shari, who's also had a head transplant from the movie. We see the original version. It's very rude. You see full frontal nudity and everything, but it were redone in like the final cut. They called Children of the Gods the final cut, where they took all the nudity out. Boo! But anyway, the only person in Children of the Gods that's from the movie is I forgot his name. He plays Scar. He was in the movie. But later on in the series, we do see Shari's and Scar's dad, who played him in the movie. I forgot the names again. Eric Avari. We see him later in the series, but he's not in the first one. Then in Enemy Within, it's about oh God, my bloody memory. The fella that were in the first film, Jay Acavone, is the actor. I can't remember the blood. Kowalski, that's it, Kowalski. Kowalski who's also had a head transplant from the movie, gets a Goa'uld in him, and that's why it's called Enemy Within. So he's being controlled by the Goa'uld, and that ends on a somber note. But anyway, so it's really good. So that's my number 2, Children of the Gods and Enemy Within, season 1, episodes 1 to 3. Top-notch stuff, top-notch sci-fi action adventure. Really like it. Right, number 1. At number 1 is Stargate Atlantis Midway. I love this episode. It's really good. I'm not a big fan of Ronan Dex from Stargate Atlantis, but this one is really good. It's season 4, episode 17. Midway refers to the Midway Station, which lies midway between our galaxy and the Pegasus galaxy. And what's happened, Rodney has devised a way, because to travel between the Pegasus galaxy, you've either got to have a super-powered Stargate that's got like a 0-point module power in it, so you can do that. But to save that, or you can travel by, in hyperspace, which takes, at normal hyperspace speeds, it can take like 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. If you've got a 0-point module power in your starship, it can take a few days. So to speed that up a bit, Rodney's devised this system where using Stargates, he's created what is called a macro that automatically dials Stargates. You go through the Pegasus Stargate, the Atlantis one, and then it sends you through all these other Stargates to the Midway Station, and then you move from that Stargate to there's a quarantine period. You've got to spend a little bit of time on Midway. Then you move into the Milky Way Stargate system, because they're separate systems. You see the different Stargates, and then another macro will forward you to Stargate Command. It's supposed to be, super safe, and it's secure and everything. But obviously the Wraith infiltrate it, and it all goes awry. But anyway, the gist of the story is that Ronan has to go to Earth to be interviewed by the head of the IOC. It was the government body in charge of the SGC. To be interviewed so he can carry on being part of operations on Atlantis. But obviously Ronan's a bit of a spitfire, if likes fighting and all that stuff. So Sam Carter, who in season 4 is in charge of Atlantis, calls in somebody to tutor Ronan in the ways of the SGC, and the guest star for this episode is Christopher Judge as Teal'c. So he comes, it's cool, and they have a big fight, him and Ronan. They don't get on at first because they're both alpha males, and it's really good, and they end up on Midway. The Wraith, they're not getting on still, and then the Wraith arrive, invade Midway, killing people left, right and centre. So obviously Ronan and Teal'c have to work together to defeat the Wraith. They get back to Stargate Command, save everybody, save the IOC chap, who's not a very nice chap, but save him. So obviously everything's all right by the end, and Ronan is accepted as a member of the Pegasus Stargate people, and it's a great episode. I love Midway. My favourite Stargate episode. It's a huge amount of fun. Obviously, there's a lot of episodes, of Stargate, and you're saying, why haven't you included the one where Daniel Jackson dies and all that stuff? Because I just didn't. There's a lot that I could have added. I thought about Heroes, the two-parter where Dr. Fraser dies and all that. I thought that were in there for a while. I did have a bigger list. Hang on, let's have a look. I'll get my list out. And I'll tell you, these can be my, I don't know if I can find it. Here we go. Is this it? Yes. I'd also included, these can be my honourable mentions, like The Fifth Race, which is cool. Foothold, where aliens invade the SGC, is cool. 2010, a good episode about essentially aliens who are human-like aliens who give us all this super technology, but it turns out there's more to them than meets the eye. As I said, Heroes. Citizen Joe with Homer Simpson in it. This is a fun episode. Ethon, which is the episode where the Prometheus gets destroyed. That's cool. Rising, parts 1 and 2, the first 2 episodes of Stargate Atlantis. The Return, parts 1 and 2, so they do a lot of multi-part episodes. Which is... I'm thinking now. Is the Return? The Return's the one where the ancients come back in it and end up getting wiped out, don't they? The one with Jack O'Neill saying it's a plan. This is Plan F, as in we are completely. That one. That's the Return, isn't it? I'm sure it is. All right. First Contact and the Lost Tribe, which is where we find there's the Asgard. These kind of not baddie, but different sorts of Asgard in it. And in Stargate universe, I also chose Common Descent, which was an episode where they found like descendants of the Destiny team who had travelled back in time, and their descendants had they ended up on this other planet. They made a colony, and that was a good episode. So there you go. So those could be me. Honourable mentions. What am I like today? I don't know. Anyway, so there we go. But anyway, my top 10. I'm going to go through them again. Number 10, Stargate Universe, Time. Number 9, Stargate Atlantis, The Shrine. Number 8, Stargate Atlantis, Tower of Rodney. Number 7, Stargate SG-1, Beachhead. Number 6, Stargate Atlantis, Daedalus Variations, or Daedalus Variations, however you want to pronounce it. Number 5, Stargate Atlantis again, The Siege. Number 4, Stargate SG-1, 200. Haha, it's all funny. Number 3, Stargate SG-1, The Other Guys. Number 2, Stargate SG-1, Children of the Gods, The Enemy Within. And number 1, Stargate Atlantis, Midway. So there you go, that's my top 10 favourite Stargate episodes. Go in the comments and tell me how much you disagree with me, what episodes I should have added, and all that jazz. But it's hard to find a 10. Pick a 10 in it out of all them hundreds of episodes that they've got to choose from. But they are my 10. So take it or leave it. Right, so there we go. So we will leave it there. So thanks for watching, and wherever you are, look after each other. And until next time, I'll see you there.